Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am going to be choosing my September TBR, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently. I honestly don't even think I've seen anyone do this before, so I'm very excited to have come up with this idea because I think it's going to help me get through my excessive physical TBR. So I have gone through my physical TBR and I have written down every single book that I have not read yet, excluding seasonal books like Christmassy sort of books, and also books in series that just wouldn't make sense if they ended up on my TBR. I'd put the first book in a series or just the book that I'm up to in a specific series, and I ended up writing down 239 books that I haven't read, which is honestly less than I thought, but I feel like if I was to count all of those extra books it would have been well over 300, which is absolutely insane. But because I have got so many books on my physical TBR and there's so many books that I just feel like I'll never get to unless I'm pushed to, I thought why not put all of these books in like a wheel of names and then let it pick out like 6 to 8 different books for me to read. Then hopefully I will actually get to some of these books in September. I know I won't get to all of them because I just never do that with my TBRs, but hopefully it pushes me to get to some of these books that I wouldn't have picked up as soon. So here is what the wheel of names is looking like. You literally can't even see anything because there's so many names on there, but as you can see I've added many different book names on there. As I'm scrolling through you can see them all. So what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna choose 6 books because I feel like that's just a lot more achievable, and honestly I'm in a massive reading slump right now and I don't know if doing this video is the best idea, but also maybe I'll find some books that I absolutely love even though I thought that I'd never end up picking them up. So let's start with the first book. I'm honestly very nervous, but let's go and see what comes up. I love that I can't even read it until like it actually pops up. Okay, the first book is Red, White and Royal Blue. So let me just grab it quickly. So as I just said, the first book is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is like one of those original book talk books, and honestly I have been wanting to read this book for such a long time, but I've honestly just been really nervous for it, even though still to this day I hear such good things about it. I also have been wanting to read this recently because of the movie that came out. I believe it came out like last year, but I just still haven't gotten around to actually reading this book before watching the movie. So at the back of the book it says, what happens when America's first son falls in love with the Prince of Wales. So honestly I am very excited for this. I'm very excited for this to be on my TBR, and I also feel like because we're going into spring in September in Australia that would be like the perfect time to read this book. So I'm honestly very happy with this choice. Can I just say, like, I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder and I just look really pale today and I'm not vibing with it whatsoever. But anyway, on to the second book for the month of September. Okay, this next one I'm honestly not excited about whatsoever, and I don't think I'm going to get to this book, but let me grab it. So this one is a dark romance and it is called Neon Gods by Katie Robert, or Kate Robert, I don't know how to say her name. I just realized I wasn't even screen recording that book, by the way, but you're just gonna have to trust that this come up. It says, society darling Persephone Demetriou plans to escape the ultra-modern city of Olympus and start over far from the backstabbing politics of the 13 houses, but all that's ripped away when her mother ambushes her with an engagement to Zeus, the dangerous power behind their glittering city's dark facade. With no options left, Persephone flees to the forbidden undercity and makes a devil's bargain with a man she once believed a myth, a man who awakens her to a world she never knew existed. Honestly, that sounds a lot different to what I expected. Maybe I will end up picking it up, but I highly doubt it, unless someone convinces me in the comments, because I'm not really a dark romance girl. Okay, next book, and I'm actually screen recording this time. Okay, this one is actually really interesting. This is one that my mum actually gave me and told me that she read it a few years ago and really loved it. So it is called The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. I'm gonna read a bit of the back because I honestly don't really remember what she told me about this. So it says that this stunning novel begins on a winter night in 1964 when a blizzard forces Dr. David Henry to deliver his own twins. His son, born first, is perfectly healthy, but the doctor immediately recognizes that his daughter has Down syndrome. For motives he tells himself are good, he makes a split-second decision that will haunt all of their lives forever. He asks his nurse Caroline to take the baby away to an institution. Instead she disappears into another city to raise the child as her own. That honestly sounds really interesting. I'm honestly very scared though because I feel like this is going to be a very emotional read. I've honestly never read anything like that before, but I feel like it's going to be like a beautiful but heartbreaking story. And honestly, if my mum loved this book, I feel like I'm gonna love it as well because we kind of have the same book taste. And I'm honestly glad that like this has like pushed me to add this to my TBR, to be honest, because I don't think I would have picked this up otherwise. Okay, book number 4, I think I'm actually going to end up choosing 8 books because I feel like the more options I have, the better. This is really not going in my favor whatsoever for books that I actually want to read. But also there's so many books on this list, like obviously it's not really going to go in my favor. So the next one chosen was Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. Now the reason why I'm not too excited about this one is because I read Done and Dusted last year and I honestly just didn't really like it that much. Only because there just didn't really feel like there was much of a plot and it just felt like it was just smut the whole book. And if this book is anything like that, I just don't think I'm going to enjoy it whatsoever. But also like the vibe and the setting of Done and Dusted I really liked. Like it very much gave Chestnut Springs vibes. So we'll see. Maybe this book will be like 100 times better, but it could also be worse and I could absolutely hate it. But at least it should be a very quick and easy romance book to get through. Like I believe it's just under 300 pages. This is honestly so nerve-wracking. Like every time it spins, I just get anxiety. Ooh, okay, this is a very interesting one as well. Actually right here, so I can actually reach this one. So this one is, I believe it's called Circe by Madeline Miller, and this is the same author who wrote The Song of Achilles, which I read when I first got back into reading like 3 years ago, and honestly I didn't really like it. I just didn't connect with it and I didn't really understand the book. But I have been wanting to reread The Song of Achilles because I do feel like if I was to reread it now, I would enjoy it a lot more. So honestly, this is a book that I have been wanting to read for a really long time. I believe this is like a witch, possibly. It says Circe is strange, not powerful and terrible like her father, nor gorgeous or mercenary like her mother, but she has a dark power of her own, witchcraft. And Circe's gift threatens the gods. She is banished to the island of Aiaia? I don't know how to say that, where she hones her occult craft, casting spells, gathering strange herbs, and taming wild beasts. My boyfriend is actually Greek, and so when I was reading The Song of Achilles, I was like getting him to pronounce things for me, so I feel like I'm gonna have to do the same with this book. I just realized I was like forgetting to press remove on some of these books, so hopefully they don't come up a second time, but if they do, that's okay. I'll just spin it again. So book number 6, we've got 3 to go. Honestly, this is such a fun way to choose my TBR. I'm definitely gonna do this again because I don't really get to my TBR that often anyway. The next one is Twice in a Blue Moon. Ooh. Okay, so this one is a Christina Lauren book, and honestly this has been on my TBR for quite a long time and I don't really think I've seen any reviews on this book. I think the only Christina Lauren book I have read is Love and Other Words, if I'm being completely honest, but I did really love that book and that book holds a very special place in my heart. So I feel like their writing, I would just enjoy anything that they write, to be honest. The back of this book honestly sounds really good, to be honest. It's like, it sounds like childhood best friends to lovers in a way, which is exactly what Love and Other Words was as well. It says Tate is like an up and coming actress, which will be a really interesting dynamic to read about as well. I'm quite happy with this one. I feel like this is a book that I would have never picked up, so definitely convince me to read this in the comments if you've read it. Okay, book number 7. I can't believe I ended up doing 8 books anyway. I feel like I do this every single time. Okay, I'm happy with this one. Okay, honestly, I'm really happy with this one because I did buy this book quite recently, like I think like last month. So this one is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and I believe this is a fantasy book, and I've been seeing so many people rave about this book recently, like in the last few months. So when I saw it, I think I bought this in my little like trip that I went on to Sydney in July. So when I saw it, I just knew I had to buy it and pick it up straight away. I honestly don't have any idea what this is about, and honestly looking at the back of the book, it's one of those like backs that don't really make much sense, but it says enter the world of this enchanting debut historical fantasy where the only thing more meddlesome than fairies is a marriage-minded mother. I don't think I've ever read a historical fantasy, so that'll be very interesting, and I'm interested to see what I think of this when I actually go into it, but I'm not actually going to read the back of the book because I want to go into this blind. Okay, now on to the last book. I believe this is going to be the 8th book for the stack. Honestly, very nervous. We'll see what the last one ends up being because some of these I just don't think I'm going to get to. Oh, okay, this one's really good as well. Okay, so the last book we have is Akane by Lynette Noni. This is a book that I've been wanting to read for quite a while as well because I read The Whisper Duology by Lynette Noni, which is very unpopular. Like I don't see anyone talking about it, but I honestly love that little duology, and I think that Lynette Noni's writing is very easy to read and understand. So this one's the start of a new series, and I believe it's following like a magical school, so it kind of gives like Hogwarts vibes in a way. It says Alex attends Akane Academy, Medora's boarding school for teenagers with extraordinary gifts. It's kind of giving like Hogwarts, but also like the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Like all of these like prestigious schools in these universes I absolutely love, where like the kids have these magical powers. So honestly, I think I'm very much going to get to this. I think I'm really going to like this book, and I'm honestly very happy with this choice. Okay, so now that we've got the 8 books that are set on my September TBR, I'm going to go through them again very quickly as a little recap. We've got Akane by Lynette Noni, which is the first book in the Medoran Chronicles, Half a Soul by Olivia Olivia Atwater, Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren, Circe by Madeline Miller, Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, Neon Gods by Katie Roberts, and Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So honestly, even though I'm very nervous for a lot of these books, I also feel like this may push me out of my comfort zone a little bit, and since I'm in a reading slump, this is going to be either a really good thing or a really bad thing. Either I'm not going to get to any of these books because my slump's just going to be slumping a little too hard, or I'm going to read these books and it'll pull me out of my slump and I'll find some new favorite books ever. We'll just have to wait and see what the month of September brings for me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I had so much fun making this, honestly. I'm definitely going to do this again in the future. This is definitely a shorter video because it definitely does not take long to choose a TBR, but as I just said, it was such a fun way to choose my TBR for the month, and I love pushing myself out of my comfort zone, to be honest. So with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one.